Hey everyone, it's Bad Boogle. Based on some of the responses I've seen to my suggestions, I want to talk about two things in this video. The first is transference, and the second is the critical period hypothesis. These are both technical terms that come with a lot of baggage, so I'll be speaking in pretty simple terms and trying to give lots of examples when I can. Transference in general refers to the problems that past habits can cause when forming new habits. Most commonly, the term is used in psychology, and it's just to talk about the transferring of feelings between relationships. So when you're tilted because someone cuts you off on the freeway, and that anger causes you later to snap at Judy when you're in the office, even though poor Judy didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, she's kind of a cunt, but I mean, she didn't deserve to be told she can fuck right off, right? That's transference. And then the term is also used in linguistics, and mainly for what they call negative transference. I'm not the most familiar with Spanish, and I'm definitely not a Spanish linguist, so I don't know how accurate this really is. But when a native Spanish speaker is learning English as a second language, and they say especial instead of special every time, that would be an example of negative transference. And I hear this is a common error, but once again, I'm not a Spanish linguist, so I can't say for sure. But the supposed reason for this error is that words in Spanish don't just start with S. If there's going to be an S right at the start, it's preceded by an E. So it's especial, never just special. Now, both of those psychological and linguistic examples were negative, and negative things are usually the only reason that people use this term or talk about transference. However, I want to talk about the limits of positive transference. It's easy to see how negative things can transfer, but for some reason there's a lot of doubt around even the possibility of positive transference, and that just really doesn't make sense to me. For example, in a response to my suggestion of upside-down aerial training, Zach Seipert says this: "Do you think learning like this will improve someone's aerial game? Wouldn't think so." Well, fuck you and your sass, Zach Seipert. I can't outright prove this. I don't think anyone can really outright prove much of anything, especially in more theoretical areas, but I can ask some simple questions that should help others come to the right conclusions about this. So we can sit here and we can ask ourselves, are there any occasions during which you need to boost downwards? Or are there any occasions in which your car is upside down? And both of these questions have a simple and direct yes as the answer, and I don't think that will ever really be contested, or it's even contestable. It's pretty straightforward. And we can follow the line of thought just a little bit further and ask these questions. Is it a good thing to have better control when boosting downwards, or is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing to have better control when upside down, or is it a bad thing? Again, these both find a simple and direct yes. The next question is a little bit more difficult and probably doesn't even really get asked most of the time. When these things, being upside down or boosting downwards, happen in game, do you feel in control?
No, stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
No straightforward answer here, but I'd like everyone to consider the moment when switching tasks. Forget Rocket League for a minute, and let's talk about this in terms of simple math. If you're given a test in which there's only addition of single-digit numbers, there's no switching going on. But if there's the addition of random subtraction questions thrown in every now and again, then there's going to be switching, and it kind of acts like a speed bump. Every time you have to change operators, it takes a little bit of extra time. Assuming you're a normal human being, having to switch operators should cause the need for a little bit more mental effort. Just like switching operators in math, when you go from being flat on the ground to going up the wall, or even when you get up onto the ceiling, switching is taking place. Even worse, when you're upside down or coming off the ceiling, the controls are exactly opposite of the original. It's not just a shift at this point, but rather a complete reversal. Since there is this added distraction of adjusting to the switch, there's less time for learning to occur. And in addition to this shortened time, it seems very common for players to immediately rotate back to the familiar position so they can stay in control. And this is a good short-term reaction, as it gives you more control right at that moment because you're not very good at flying upside down. But in the long term, you're kind of screwing yourself over. Instead of learning how to fly upside down, you'd be avoiding it. In this moment of mentally switching and flipping the car back to an upright position, you're losing time that could be spent bringing you closer to the ball or getting closer to the correct position. If you're looking to develop the best habits, then I would suggest 2 parts to practicing this. First, flying upside down, like I've said before, so just doing the obstacle courses upside down or whatever like that. And 2, doing off-the-wall aerial training, but without using air roll. This introduces the moment of switching, but only after you've had some experience with controlling the car upside down anyways. It's pretty much integrating the skill into actual gameplay. Adding in the air roll means even more switching and more mental effort before getting to a point where you can actually focus on the flying part. Some people can do it, but why make the game harder than it needs to be? The reason that I'm going over all of this is that training doesn't need to exactly match the exact situations that you'll be in, just part of those situations, and specifically the composite parts that make up the entirety of the situation. Because of transference, parts of a whole can be practiced individually. So learn addition, then learn subtraction, and then interleave them for the most efficient learning experience. And when I say interleave, I just mean mix them together. Now, on to the second and pretty short part of this video, the critical period hypothesis. In language and other complex systems involving lots of rules, children seem to have a knack for picking it up and picking it up in a very thorough and accurate way. This is the essence of the critical period hypothesis. Young minds, roughly speaking, the minds of individuals that haven't yet hit puberty, are better at learning. That may sound strange, or it may not, but when learning a language, kids go from 0 to 60 pretty fucking fast. I'm kind of slow, but working my ass off for a 1.5 years at the Defense Language Institute, studying Korean 10 to 12 hours a day, I still clearly sound like a foreigner, and it bothers me to no end. But I just can't lose the accent. However, while I sound foreign, I've done speeches for Korean classes on neutron stars, black holes, and nuclear weapons, all in Korean. Things that kids can't really grasp yet. So getting back to Rocket League, as I see it, kids seem to have this knack for picking it up and mastering the controls of the game, but they lack the ability to express themselves or understand more complex plays and game theory. I only really mention this because the younger and older crowds that play this game seem to have trouble getting on the same page, and I was just hoping to offer some insight into why that might be the case. Alright, that's it for this video. Please sure to like and subscribe if you're interested in more whatever just happened in this video. Thanks for watching. Peace.